Gentlemen, thanks so much for hanging out with us. How are we going?
Thanks for having us.
Dude, our pleasure. Huge fans of what you guys do.
Hell yeah, thank you.
I want to start off with asking, what did we do wrong? Because you guys have me down here like 8 years, and I think we're going to take it personally.
I think it's what we did wrong by just not asking, because the last two times we just asked to come, it's been facilitated. So I was like, oh, wait, maybe I just didn't ask anyone in 7 years.
There's a life lesson right there. Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, 100%. It's happened. So I think that's maybe on us. We love Australia. We're stoked to be coming back.
Hell yeah. And you're coming off the back of, I don't want to start the interview with too much blowing smoke up your ass, but I'm going to. Potentially the best album of your career. That's a...
Thank you.
You guys absolutely fucking crushed this album. I'm so excited to hear it live.
Hell yeah. We're excited to play it.
It's particularly hard to play live.
Yeah, it's hard. It's fast.
It was we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Like writing process. It's like, well, I can do it this one time under microphones, and we'll do it later.
We'll try it again later.
Just every time you play, when you fuck up, hang on guys, we want to start again. We need to do a re-recording that one.
Yeah, there were some decisions I made doing certain things. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool. And it's like literally fast forward over a year. It's like, oh wow, yeah, I should have maybe not done it, but it's just like yeah.
It's one of those ones that we never knew if we were going to play live or not. Like we had no idea. Like, are we going to play this? So it's interesting now, like throwing them in the hat.
Is there any particular songs? Yeah, is there any particular songs that are like that you really want to do live, but you're just like, fuck, we didn't think about this?
I mean, I think they're all playable. It's just, we haven't played shows as much as we used to in a while. So it's like,
I mean, it is a COVID album. Like we wrote it in the peak of 2020. I remember because it's so hard to think back of how everyone felt in that time. But I remember it being kind of like almost awkward in the beginning stages when it's just three of us in a room. We were like, were you supposed to even be doing this? Like it was a freaky. So like, there was no thoughts of like, oh, how's the crowd gonna like this one? We were three guys feeling awkward in a room together. So it's like there was no thought of like, how's this gonna translate live? It was just like we were mad and we were happy to be making music. That's because we had something to do, a release in that kind of time. But it was such a weird headspace to write an album in, and Schuylar was sick for a lot of that. So it's like, I don't want to say we all were just like feeling bad the whole time, but it's like the only good moments I remember of that year at all is like every few days when we like something would click and it's like, well, that's pretty cool, jot that down. And so that's all we had to do that year pretty much. Didn't think about playing it live or anything. It was like, this is just going to be ridiculous. And as far as we all knew, we weren't even going to record it. It's just like, this is just something to get us through Tuesday. So
so you've renamed the songs now. It's not Tuesday song anymore. It's okay, we better have a
some of them stayed exactly the same. Like Lord Slug has been a song that's been on our little wipe off board for like 6 years. Yeah, and that was never supposed to be heard by anybody.
Like one of the first riffs you and Booze started working on.
Slug was like a 2015 riff. I was like house sitting for a friend, and I was just like combing through Atom ideas that were on like just literally an iPhone in the room, kind of recording. And Slug came on. I was house sitting for a friend of mine. I'm listening to it just by myself, laughing out loud of how dumb it is. I remember him. I was like, let's do something with this, and we reworked that song 5 different times.
I think I had to ask y'all to put it on this album
because we tried to put it on White Bat, just couldn't do it. There's like 5 different versions of Slug, and it's just like each one was worse than the last. So then it just didn't make the last album, and then it didn't make this album too. And very last, it was like a day we hadn't met up, and Maddie texted the group. He's like, "Hear me out. We bring Slug back," and pretty much the version you hear now is structurally almost identical to that iPhone demo from like 6 years ago. So
No
It's
way.
so
took a
interesting
long
you say
time,
that.
yeah.
Because
Well,
I
it's
feel
so-
like you can hear elements of the band's career through this album probably more cohesively than ever before. It feels like you've really encapsulated what Here's Legend has been the whole way through in the different iterations, but into one album. Like, does that make sense? Am I speaking English here? I don't know. I'm vocalizing
Yeah,
myself very clearly.
I think it probably, a lot of that had to do with the fact that we did have this huge like collective consciousness moment in the world where music did it. We didn't know if we were going to play shows anymore,
Yeah.
So like in creating art in that period, you kind of have, you're pulling these emotions from everywhere. And on top of that, like uncertainty in general, I think it probably had a lot to do with us in being in some sort of reflection phase where we were like thinking about who we were as a band. And like, when you're looking at this and you're paused in time, then you probably look at the iteration as a whole, like where our first shows to our shows with Jesse,
Yeah.
it's interesting to look at it now and hear this record and hear influences from that, because we were in like a strange headspace for 2 years. We came directly off of tour in the very early stages of White Bat, and then it was like, oh, you guys got to go home, and then and we don't know when we'll see you again. So I think that probably stirred up a lot of emotions and really like made us reflect on who we were as a band when the idea of like, oh, we're gonna actually put this album out came about. It's just a lot. I personally don't feel like I was myself.
What's the experience been like touring it to start with? Like, because it is reflective of a kind of darkish time for you guys. Now bringing those songs to life in a live setting, does it bring that sort of emotion up each time, or are you able to bring it into a new setting and sort of feel it in a different way each time now?
So I don't know. When you're talking about a tour, you kind of get in the mode of like playing every night, and some nights you don't get lost in the song over like you're actually thinking about what you're doing. Not to say, oh, I'm just up there doing the motions, but some nights you're like, you're not taken away by the music. You're just like, you get taken away. I'm bringing you, exactly what it's supposed to be. But I'd say there was more times if I have to listen to it. More happened when we were like mixing the album, which pretty much set the whole piece of music down for 10 months. And so listening back to things, there were so many moments that just, even now, I mean, I don't listen to it that often, like comb through a song, but if I do hear it, there are definitely moments where it'll give me some like anxiety pit in my stomach, because I'm like, oh man, we were like so stressed out at that moment. There's certain songs on this album I remember exactly how I was feeling when I was recording it. And so that was, I mean, I can say, I mean, in perspective, so many people had such a worse 2 years than we did. But mine properly sucked. And I definitely, when I hear those songs, like, unfortunately or fortunately, it's just like, you hear a Radiohead song and then you're like, man, that girl broke up with me in high school. Now I'm sad. So now sometimes when I hear, so one of the songs off this album, I'll think about, oh shoot, that sucked.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with the song. It's just like, connected to that time
frame.
Can you kind of now though, like look back on it and seeing how, like, again, to blow smoke up your ass, how great the album turned out, and kind of, does it give you any sense of appreciation for how difficult that time was, and how, like, you had a terrible 2 years, but something so great has come out of that? Does it give you any sense of, I guess, good feeling towards that period?
I think when things like this happen, you're oftentimes like, stuck in that moment until you have like a real like pinpoint moment that turns it around for you. And I can say, you know, the tour we did with Attila was probably the first thing we really did back like after COVID. And I was still kind of battling this illness, figuring out how to tour. And I don't think it's really until we got back on stage, back in front of people, that it really hit me how long it had been, you know, I mean, and seeing fans, especially like in the States and close to home, you know, where there's people that we've been seeing for almost 20 years come to these shows. And then, you know, we saw them 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. And now it had been 2 years since we've seen them. And you notice in that moment that like that amount of time had gone by. And you haven't seen these people that have become really close to you in such a long time, that normally you know, you would see them 2 or 3 times a year, if, you know, on a bad year. So that was probably the turning point for me, like the first real tour show where I was like, we're passing joints backstage, or, you know, like this is weird. Like, you know, I'm drinking after somebody, or like shaking hands again. It's like very odd, but I don't think it really hit me until we were there in the moment, you know, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot that this is what you do. You know, you go out and chat with kids, and there's like a bit of, there was always going to be some amount of anxiety just thinking back to this time. But like, obviously I don't want to, you know, keep harping on COVID, because I don't think Endless Hallway, other than the fact that we wrote it during COVID, it doesn't have a stamp of this crazy time on it. It's just, you know, it feels like a collection of He Is Legend songs. But certainly when I think about it, I think about like all of the preparation and everything that brought us up to that point. And it's wild, because the time really does, it seems like that amount of time just went it's like a 2 year, 1 month period, you know. It just seems like we were all just in a holding pattern. It was
we had
strange.
like an Avengers blip.
It's like the blip from fucking Avengers for sure. Just disappeared.
You guys are known for your very intense live performances. Schuylar, how's your health affected that? Like, how are you finding performing post that situation?
I think it's still like a strange territory for me to navigate, like, just because it's like an illness based on time, you know. So I basically, like, if I go too long without eating, you know, which is pretty a solid rule for everyone in like everyday life, just, you know, eat something, you know, you're probably hungry. That's probably what our grandmothers say to us all day. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of learned how to navigate it. I've figured out some things that I should stick away from, and some things that really help. And I don't think, if I'm feeling good if I can get to the stage and feel good when I'm on stage, no problem. But if the circumstances have led to where I'm having an episode, then it's extremely difficult. So we just ran into that a couple weekends ago. We played a festival and I got sick, and Jesse had to like take care of me and worry about me that whole time. And it's, you know, it's a drag on everybody, but it's also like, it's really good information to keep in our back pockets, like, because this illness really is affected by my diet. And how often I keep food in my system. And it's like one of those things that you're so easy, you can cruise all night on a cup of coffee and, you know, smoking cigarettes, and just, you know, we drive, you know, anywhere from 3 to 7 hours a night on tour in the States. So just being mindful of like what your body wants when it wants it, and trying not to force it into situations that it doesn't want to do. Man, we're all getting older now and feeling these things that we've been doing to our bodies for ages, you know, it's catching up with us. But
it's so easy.
I feel good.
It's fully just so easy though, like to, you know, like you said, it sounds simple. Have something to eat, like put some fucking food in your belly. That's our fuel. But it is so easy to sort of just go about your day and forget. Like, I have days I'll just get up, I'll have a cup of coffee, and I'll be like, I'll just do a few things, and then I'll get some food, and then I'll be like, fuck, it's 1:30 in the afternoon and I haven't eaten a thing. Yeah.
For most people, that's not usually a problem, or like you won't feel it as much, or maybe you don't understand like what your body's telling you. But being a diabetic, like I've had problems with having to eat my whole life, so this is just another additive to what I've already been dealing with since I was, in my early 20s. But yeah, I think to answer your question, I think that I've like every tour, every day, I'm figuring out like how to be better and live better in that situation. So I'm only hoping that I start to get more answers, and obviously like put together a good piece of touring by the book kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let people know what to do on the road to stay of healthy, sound minds and bodies.
It's a how to be Jesse rule book. How to be
Oh yeah,
chapter.
I mean, you don't notice until you are a seasoned veteran of what you're doing that like you do have information that kids that are just starting to get on the road really probably could use early on, and just because we get along as a band and we know how to like live in tight quarters and try to live beyond our, below our means, little things like staying at a campground instead of a hotel, or like cooking your own food whenever you have the opportunity, go jump in a body of water, like just don't stick to the hard city surfaces. Sometimes you got to get out in nature and like and decompress a little bit from the road.
Well, Australia is a good place to do that.
Yeah.
I'm real into that. I'm gonna plan every second I'm not on stage.
Man, if you need help finding places to adventure, that's my jam. I'm more than happy to help.
All right. I might take you up on that.
I just can't wait to see the articles come out, like, because you obviously need to be careful about what you're putting in your body. And when you put it in, I'm going to need some fresh fruit. I'm going to need some nuts. I'm going to need some water. Like, I'm going to need, so like, he is legend. Outrageous rider requests.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I made a point to be like on the rider, just because I don't think, unless you're doing real research on the band, you're not going to hear about things like this. But
yeah,
I mean, just the importance of being able to like put something in, like eat something before you load in. We're loading all our gear in, it's like an hour and a half of work setting up shit. And we might need to eat before that. Like, it's such a boring thing.
How dare you?
How dare you?
Yeah. Wow.
I need to throw
it's fun.
a complete just like left turn here, because I've got a question I've wanted to ask for so long, and you maybe answered this in an interview and I haven't done my research, so it's my fault. But I want to go back a long time, because you guys haven't toured off the back of an album since Suck Out the Poison. You came out for Soundwave in 2015. Is that the last time we saw them?
Oh, it was the double Soundwave they were at.
Slipknot and stuff, that one.
Yeah.
You haven't been out for off the back of a tour album. The last one was Suck Out the Poison. So I never got to ask this question because I was also like so small as a human then. The final track, Louds, is that a Pink Floyd inspired song?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
I mean, we stole, we stole wanting to have a female vocalist just from, that song "Time" on Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
But I think we always, like, Pink Floyd's songwriting capabilities early on were things that we like looked up to, just how it was groundbreaking. And like, I don't know if we would ever say like that directly was an influence on that song. I mean, I'm sure it was, because we were like, oh yeah, it'd be really cool to have female vocals in that part. But and I want to say we even mentioned it a lot in rehearsal, like to do just exactly what they did on that song, to kind of break away and have a girl just wail. So yeah, I think that those things early on were like more like signposts in rock and roll, rather than being like, this is like how it needs to sound. It's more like it needs to be in the vibe of this whole thing. And there's always songs like that when we're pushing buttons on records, it's like we have those little tags to say like this needs to sound like the Deftones in this one part, and and then everybody can really wrap their heads around the vibe that we're trying to go.
Is that ever
We've
difficult?
Done the Dark Side of the Moon thing a couple times. I think it's Future's Bright Man and Skin So Soft is a rip off of the On the Run, like hi-hat thing. That was a direct thing. I'm just like, let's just do the Pink Floyd thing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Why not? It worked for them.
There are a lot of nods to lots of big classic rock bands that we all collectively love that are, I mean, all over every single album. It's like, even if you wouldn't directly know, like, it's not, that one's like pretty on the nose. Like, you can look at these two things and they do, you know, you can tell where it was pulled from.
Yeah.
But there are tons of parts of a song. It's like, okay, we're gonna do this and this. We could pull up the example. It doesn't sound the same, but it's like, that's what we're going for. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
we like to throw little Easter eggs on the record all the time for if people may or may not find them. I know, like on I Am Hollywood, if you look in the liner notes in the lyrics, I put quotation marks around quoted lyrics that I put on that album. And like, it was like our first album, and there's like Wu-Tang lyrics and Blind Melon lyrics, obviously, and just little things that I stole throughout, like almost on every song. And I put them in quotation marks to see if anybody would catch that they were quoted. And I don't think anybody ever really did.
Yeah, I had no idea.
There's too many physical copies of I Am Hollywood, you know?
Yes, go find the actual liner notes. It'd be pretty hard nowadays.
Yeah.
I've got one on CD still.
Yeah, but you're old as fuck and you still have like cassettes.
Dude, cassettes are coming back.
They are. It's odd.
I just
saw that.
Which of this vinyl is just vinyl just outsold CDs for the first time since 1974 this year. That's pretty wild.
It's weird because vinyl's not even available over here right now. It's like,
it's pretty hard to get here too. Yeah. It's kind of, that's a world. Blame Adele for that one. Yeah. She sold to me.
I saw that. I actually reposted that because I saw somebody with like post like 600 Adele vinyls in a Goodwill, like a secondhand store.
Yeah.
Which is like cool. This is why you can't get a cave-in vinyl right now.
Yeah.
Is that on the topic? I wanted to continue on the topic of inspirations because you've also covered, and it's still on Spotify, one of my favorite bands, Third Eye Blind. What other bands out there have you kind of drawn inspiration from, or you find influence in that you think people wouldn't really expect or associate with the band?
Oh man,
I mean, there's lots of ones that are not, I wouldn't say they were unexpected.
Adam and I listen to a ton of hip hop and like love just shitty trap shit hip hop, you know?
Yeah.
Didn't expect that.
I think people are really thrown off when they see Booze and I like geeking out over 2 Chainz or something. They don't expect it. Maybe less from me than from him, but because I'm pretty vocal about it, but I think people would just expect this big metal dude not to like really be vibing to Juicy J, you know, like, so, but I think there's been, and I know he's asked you for like trap beats, you know, and it's like really hard because it's not really a natural way to play drums, is like hi-hat heavy trap shit, but we do, like, you know, we attempt to wear those influences on our sleeve as well. I know I really like, I mean, obviously lyrically you can get away with a lot of things, but I've just always been a huge fan of like hip hop alliteration and wordplay and things like that. It's just like, it's all it really is. I love artists like that. It's for the same reason I like Nick Cave and like Tom Waits and people who are like real true storytellers.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm into that. Like, I mean, Kendrick Lamar is a poet laureate, you know? You don't see a lot of that going around.
Well, this is what I was going to ask just before, is like, is it difficult, because you guys clearly, like, the sound of the band is really hard to pigeonhole. If you were to explain to, you know, a layman that wants to come over and get into heavy music, like, oh, what style is he? Is Legend? It's pretty hard to pigeonhole. You just say it's heavy.
You say it's hard rock, but it could mean a lot of like, if I'm telling someone, I'll say it's like almost like 90s influenced metal, if that. So if you were thinking of like, we're not Whitechapel, but to somebody who like, it was like, there's definitely, we can be classified as a metal band, but it's also like leans in that 90s like Alice in Chains thing. So I don't know, I feel like we're like almost like classic hardcore or something.
Yeah, we're rock and roll enough for the people who hate metal, and metal enough for the people who hate rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know,
Rock and roll on steroids.
I think I've always said rock, and then if you're, like my favorite thing to say is that a little old lady at a coffee shop is like, "Oh, what, you boys play music? What's your band? What kind of band is it?" And I usually say loud,
Yeah.
because loud covers all the bases.
Yeah.
Most people are going to steer away, but yeah, loud usually covers it. But I don't really know how to explain our band either, because I guess I've never really heard it with new fresh ears. So Jesse,
Yeah. Yeah. And is it difficult to sort of stay within what He Is Legend is while bringing all of these other influences? And how do you guys go about that? Because you all obviously got pretty eclectic tastes.
Well, we kind of fucked ourselves by having, like, it's hard to decide what it is because it's complicated. It's a lot of things, but that makes it extremely easy. Look at any of the albums. You can have a song like this poppy fast one and then this like slow slug one, but it all makes sense in He Is Legend world because we've done it 5 times before that. So makes it very easy in that we have if like Bob Ross palette, we have so many colors that is fine to use. It's easy to write because it's like, yeah, it all makes sense. We have like 4 other songs that are in that vein. Then it makes the question hard. Like, well, you're not how do you describe the band? It's tough.
I think we always I feel like the music, because the skeletons and the formats of the songs, they have their own life in the studio or in the rehearsal space before we go to the studio. And when I hear those early demos, there's not unlike what happens after we spend over a month in the studio getting the actual structure down of what it's going to sound like on the record. Sometimes you hear those songs and you're like, that's a classic He Is Legend song. And to hear it on my end, when I'm just like trying to just be washed over with this music and like gather some sort of imagery inside of it, for me to be able to be like, oh, that sounds like an old He Is Legend riff. I guess it made me kind of feel like, oh, I can hear it in a way, because I was hearing it like for the first time, and I'm like, that's crazy that Adam chose to go that route, or like play that in that style, because we haven't done that in a while. Like, I guess the most obvious one would be like Animals on the record is like clearly a callback to Suck Out the Poison Days, and you can hear that it's like heavy metal and like Southern metal inspired, like American Southern roots metal or whatever, and it just sounds like something we would have written 20 years ago maybe.
How do you go about
but
now?
That was fun, really fun to execute those and try to find like an old voice that I hadn't used in a while.
How do you go about now? Like I said, you haven't been here 8 years. You've released 4, maybe 5 albums in the time since you were last here. Definitely 4 albums.
Yeah.
That's a pretty extensive catalog to have to then go through and put into a set list.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I mean, I think when we play shows now, we try to think about like the fan who just maybe learned, and like what would we want them to hear from our old catalog. They might be like, what album's this on? And I like that. I mean, I remember being a kid. I know a lot of people would just be like, yeah, like play the new stuff or whatever, but like I always loved when I'd get just a huge array of this artist and what they've done, and like maybe know that I wasn't as hip to all of their tunes and like needed to go back and check out stuff. And you see kids listening to it that you can tell maybe or like have been into the band longer. There's just this culture behind that kind of fandom that I've always identified with.
He Is Legend fans are, I mean, they're passionate about the band and are pretty in tune to all the records. So I'd say the bulk of the people who come to the shows are not just a fan of Hollywood, or not just like, oh, I heard your new album. Like there are those people. They're definitely like on support tours where it's just like, this is not a He Is Legend crowd. They want to hear like Hollywood and a couple of things that just they know. And then so if you ask them, what do you want to play? It's just like, I don't play that first record. That's one I know.
Yeah.
There's those people, and then there's other people who come up. It's just like, why didn't you play more of the new thing? You only played like 2 new songs. But I say the bulk of the crowd is like they're lifelong fans, and so
That's cool.
Yeah.
I try to think about it because I was a fan of the band for years before I joined, and it's like, what would if I walked in like I want to hear this, like I want it all. Like I don't want you to leave out some
That's a
album.
cool
Yeah,
perspective
that
to
would have been
say.
a cool thing for you guys to have as well.
And there's so many songs that are like, this song is so fun to play before this song, and they're like, there's 10 years between the times these were written. It's like so cool how they mash up.
Yeah.
So that's what I have fun doing.
Yeah, I like that too. I don't think I would ever, I don't really get behind like, hey, let's play this whole album. You know, I mean, it's not really for me because I don't, unless it's like an album that you sit down with and you really like, you know, you spend the entire 45 minutes to an hour with. And I don't necessarily, I don't listen to our band like that, but there are bands that I love that I, you know, like Converge, Jane Doe is a front to back album. You know, you want to start it and hear it, everything in its place. But yeah, I certainly love that we can sit down and say, okay, we're going to play like a little bit from everything and like really just have a big variety kind of, or at least like spanning the decades and let people know that we can still play all of the shit. So
That is a cool thing to do though, like as you said, because then you're kind of giving what you think people, like what you want to introduce. I went and saw My Chemical Romance last night and they played like singles, but then they played so many B-sides and like smaller tracks. They're playing arenas and doing that. I was like, that's cool because there's people here that would just know the Black Parade, like they know some of the big songs, and then they're getting introduced to all this other stuff. And that band's pretty far in their career. I think that's a really cool thing. Like I appreciate that as a fan of the bands because I then feel like the people I'm with are going to get an experience that they wouldn't have expected.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, I really do look for that in shows when I go, like seeing bands I love, you know, and I think it's easy now. It's like almost kind of one of those things to like, oh, it's been 20 years, so we're doing this 20-year thing, and there's a place for that. But also, if I went to see your 20-year, like playing this album for his 20-year anniversary, I'd still want to hear some bangers from some other records. If you're one of those bands, you know. So
yeah, you have to do the first set is the album, and then your encore is actually 7 songs, and it's just like splices of everything else. That's the way to do it.
okay.
Or just play for 3
Right.
hours. We'll be cool if you guys just play for 3 hours. So go ahead and do that.
Yeah, okay.
If I got to write the set list that I would want to write, it would be a 2-hour set, which I can't play, but that's what I would.
There's these songs you want on there that you just don't know how to play anymore.
Yeah.
I saw Taylor Swift's currently doing a 3-hour tour. She plays 44 songs on her current tour. 44 fucking songs.
It's too much, man.
I just heard that she just named some place a place of worship for her. Like she's going on this like, I don't know, there's like a Taylor Swift church now or something.
I'll join.
Me too.
I'm not doing anything.
Do you get a free t-shirt?
I do.
Yeah,
to make your own
sticker pack.
t-shirt. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'd give you a
That's
sticker.
Hey,
yeah, she'll probably be president one day, but maybe.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Got to be better than your last one, surely.
I don't remember him. What were you talking about?
Hey, I'm going to go off track for a moment. I can see the ghost face mask up on the wall there. Have you seen the new Scream yet?
I did see it.
Did you like it?
I saw it. I did.
Yeah, I thought it was really
did.
cool.
Yeah, I liked it better than the last one, even though the last one has a He Is Legend poster in it. So I kind of have to be biased for that. There's a big ass He Is Legend poster on the wall on the one before this, but yeah, I mean it checked all the ghost face boxes.
Yeah.
You know, it did everything I wanted it to do. I know people are probably gonna hate on it, but I like horror movies, so
Yeah,
any opportunity to go see something in the theater, I'm there, you know.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I missed most about COVID was not being able to go to the theaters. It was one of my favorite things to do. So
Mine too, man. Mine too.
All right,
Love going and getting a big old box of corn.
yeah. Big old,
Doesn't
big
care how
old,
he's watching. He's just
box of-
happy about the popcorn.
big old box of cock porn.
Went the first movie I went to mid-COVID, went back. I was visiting my brother, and me and my brother went to a theater, and we were the only ones in there, except the only other person was Brian Head Welch from Korn.
No fucking way.
Very weird.
What did you see?
I don't remember.
What the hell was he doing there?
I don't know. It's in a small town in Indiana that he lived in briefly, that I'm from briefly. And it's just like the first movie is just me and my brother and Head and his daughter. I'm like, why are you okay?
All right. Okay.
Did you go and
movies
say hi?
again. Big old bag of corn.
Big old bag of corn with a K.
Yeah. Oh God! Please tell me you went and made a joke about that. I see you got some corn there.
Yeah.
Swish.
Very good.
You know, I tried to take a Polaroid of Head on Shiprock. He gave me attitude. So, what are you, a photographer? I was like, I got a fucking camera, don't I?
Wait, who gave the attitude?
Brian Head from Korn gave me attitude.
How dare he?
All right, I'm not salty about it.
I love corn.
I do too, man.
I listened to Corn last night.
We put corn on at the bar the other day.
I said it last night. It was doing that little scatty party
So
does.
good.
That's
Yeah.
like 9/11 for seeing kids. Like, where were you when you first heard that part in Corn?
Yeah.
I remember.
I remember. I was in my bedroom back
where
home
were,
when I was
where
a
were
kid.
you?
I remember exactly where I was.
At
I
your
was in my
desktop
bedroom.
computer. No one could use a phone. No one could use a phone because you're on the internet.
Download it
No,
on
I'm before
LimeWire.
then. I was on radio. It was on a radio, and I heard it in my bedroom, and I was just like rocking out by myself.
Hell yeah.
Jeez.
I remember the first time I heard Twist. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Twist.
Yeah.
No, it's Freak on a Leash.
Freak on a leash.
Never
Freaking Leach is
forget.
the one that had the scat bit. Yeah.
He does it in Twist as well. The whole song is basically it, except for that one word. Twist.
Yeah.
Twist.
No, but we all know the part. We all know the part we're talking about, and we all
Yeah.
remember where we were.
You mean you not right night?
No, not that.
Try to say it. Try to speak it.
So I heard the other day it was like a girl's yearbook caption, and she'd written that out as the yearbook, like her yearbook quote.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
I've seen that.
cool. Yeah. So,
So good. All right,
Imagine him having to like transcribe those lyrics for what he was
Oh.
doing. Is like, hey, we need the lyrics in by Tuesday, bro. He's like, I'm just listening back, like the playback.
I wonder if
I didn't
There's an
think
L in there, I
about all
think.
of it.
Yeah, I wonder if it's ever like I've never checked. You know how like on Spotify you can hit the lyrics thing and the lyrics come up. I want to see
Yeah.
what comes up there. Or
Some
imagine
modes
doing
look just,
karaoke.
Just like an asterisk with just like incoherent Jonathan Davis gibberish.
Talks in freak.
Yeah. No, I think it just comes up in
Talks.
like little stars, like childhood trauma.
Yeah.
All right, do we? Is it?
Not
are you
on the
looking
corn
at-
though.
I am looking it up because I want to know if no, there's nothing in there. Just it's all clear English.
No, yeah, but it says it like it says its words. So fight something on the Mingaboo.
Fight some things they fight. So something on the Mingaboo. Yeah, well,
Well,
he
I
doesn't
don't know.
actually say that. They've just made
Yeah,
that up on the
yeah.
spot.
no, that's
Yeah, it's like the algorithm like trying to capture words within his ramblings.
yeah, exactly. All right, do we want to give him some hard questions?
Yeah, let's make this
Yeah?
really tough. And
All right, we're gonna make you sweat. All right, this quick fire would you rather's. All right, you got to pick one or the other. All right, don't think too much about it.
Don't think at all.
Never.
All right, let's go. Metallica or Megadeth?
Metallica.
Movies,
Get out of here.
movies or TV series?
Movies.
TV series.
What? I guess. Yeah, he's probably right.
You can't change your mind. Easily influenced.
Beach or snow?
Beach.
100% beach.
Yeah. Sports car or truck?
Sports car.
All right, all right. Pizza or burgers?
Burger.
Yeah, burger.
All right,
I mean, you can get pizza anywhere.
that is true.
You can get a burger anywhere too.
Yeah, have you heard of a
That's
little
true.
place called McDonald's? They're everywhere.
What? You mean Hungry Jacks?
No, it's
No,
no,
I'm
that's
just kidding.
not them.
That's the other joint.
No, we have Hungry Jacks.
Yeah, we got Hungry
Yeah,
Jack.
that's
Right.
Australian.
Yeah.
Y'all are Mac, right?
Yeah, Macca's. Yeah. Donuts or ice cream?
Donuts, fuck y'all.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says.
Boy loves a donut over here.
Yeah.
A man after my own heart.
Board games or video games?
Video games.
What's your go-to video game?
I'm playing Donkey Kong Classic right now.
Nice.
I play
Lit-
Fortnite.
literally.
Dude,
I like
same.
Fortnite. I love it. I think it's so fun.
Yeah, same. My kid got me into it. All right. Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco?
Fall
Fall Out Boy.
That was easy. Reality TV or sitcoms?
Sitcoms for sure.
I have to say sitcoms.
Yeah, Seinfeld.
I just did something
Yeah.
bad.
Oh, you've been watching something?
I watched 210 episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond in the last 2 weeks.
So
A lot
things
of
have
them
been
played while I
busy.
was asleep.
I can't even.
I'm like, every person I tell just like squints at me. I'm like, come on, man. It's fun.
I'm trying to work
I
that
just
out.
saw my
Years.
own video and I was actually
Years.
just squinting a bit, like, huh?
I'm trying to work
Yeah,
out in my
yeah.
head how much time you have actually had to spend.
A lot of them played like I'd start one and then 5 would go by and I hadn't paid it, but I fronted to back it in not a long time.
How was that experience?
I've never.
Let's move on. Everyone's judging me.
Yeah, we're gonna stay on that right
Trying
now.
to get me to watch King of the Hill for years, and
Oh, King of the
I'm like, I'll watch King of the Hill, but I don't think I don't think I
That's
can say
300
anything
episodes.
about
Yeah.
Everybody Loves Raymond.
It's funny.
Yeah, that's what's getting me. Of all the things to watch, that's the one you went back to back on the whole thing. Everyone loves Raymond.
He has such good taste though,
I'm-
too. He loves good. He
from-
loves funny things. He actually does like funny
It's
things.
got some funny stuff in there.
You just have to watch 200 episodes to get there.
I mean, like Seinfeld, The Simpsons.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I could
Yeah.
understand
I'm
that.
not, I don't. Yeah.
Top of the Pops Seinfeld. We all day, every day.
No, but it's like eating a bag of classic Lay's barbecue chips. Reminds me of being a kid. It reminds me of
That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You're hitting the nostalgia
Yeah.
button. You think you're on your couch, like snoozing before dinner.
yeah.
He watched 200
I get
episodes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitcoms. That's the answer. Move
All
on
right.
next.
All right. Mexican or Italian? The food, not the people.
Mexican.
Very
Mexican.
good.
Mexican.
And
All
how
right.
about the people?
Mexican.
Mexican.
All right.
Sure.
Go.
I mean, I don't know many Italians.
I don't need to know them. I love Mexican.
I love Mexico. I love.
You know what?
people.
If we've got, I reckon
Yeah.
after this goes out, you'll probably have a few come and introduce themselves to you.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm into it. I mean,
What'd you fucking say about Italians?
Yeah. Hi, I'm just
Yeah, right.
All right. Horror or comedy?
I like horror comedies. How about
Oh
that?
shit. All right.
Classic Evil Dead,
I'll go classic comedy.
classic
Don't
coms.
try to scare me.
Yeah, Jesse's
Yeah.
not. He didn't like being frazzled.
I'm the same. I'm not a horror person. But talking about horror comedies, give me an example. What do you like there?
Evil Dead is like,
Yeah.
That's
I mean, just the fact that it's all basically like a Three Stooges cartoon, you know, and there's all the just so many weird, funny gags. Shaun of the Dead's great. I just think
Yeah.
like if you can really make somebody laugh and kind of frighten them at the same time, you've done it well, you know.
Does Zombieland fall into that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I like Zombieland.
I would say that the goat of horror comedy, and it would probably be just from number 2 onwards. I would say the Nightmare on Elm Street series, only because Freddy
Yes.
Krueger always had this weird, warped sense of humor, and
Yeah.
he had some
Yeah,
fucking
100%.
fantastic one-liners, dude. Great one-liners.
Yeah, he kept calling their bitch all the time. Like, come here, bitch. Like the Rick and Morty joke. But
Yeah.
it's true. We just watched them all over the pandemic. We went and barreled through them, and they have some really good comedic gems in them. for sure.
Absolutely. All right. A couple more. We've got sleep-ins or early risers.
I sleep in, maybe.
I like to sleep in, but I will say I found a love for getting up early just recently. Like I can be an early riser. I have it in me. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I do appreciate a good wake up before
That's how I
dawn.
knew the world actually ended.
Yeah.
Was when you started getting up in the morning.
It's true. Yeah, I never thought that I would be like
The times have changed.
All right, one more. This is a big one. We got 2 more questions asked. This one is call or text.
I like a good phone call.
I called you today. I was like, this text thing isn't working.
Yeah, you had to, and you called me and I answered.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that about you
I
guys.
think
That
there's
just
not
I instantly
enough.
like you more.
There's texting, you can just lose so much in it, and if it's the right person and they call, it can just lift your day. You know what I mean? Like it can change your day if you just answer the fucking phone,
Yeah.
which we don't do. We never do. So I think texts are so impersonable, and they're not like.
If I had to give up one, I'd give up texting.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think how it is now,
You don't want to talk to everybody.
I don't think we could function as a society if there was no texting and just calling.
Yeah.
But that's if I had to pick. I'd rather
No, I'm
not have
with you
to.
there. It's way more convenient to shoot a text off, but I feel like you lose context and people come across as moody bitches in text.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas a phone
Not
call.
only that, I'm in like 5 or 6 group chats right now, and
Yeah.
there's
yeah.
no way I could answer the phone 18 times every 5
Yeah.
minutes. Like,
Yeah.
that's not realistic. But I'd give it up. That'd be cool.
I like a good cold call out of like, I haven't talked to this person in a few years, and I'm just gonna like swing for the fences, and just see what's up. That's my favorite kind of conversation.
Yeah, it would be best if you could see their reaction as well, because they'd be like,
It's FaceTime. my
and
friend.
they're just kind of thinking like, what could they possibly want?
Yeah.
Hello?
Usually an emergency.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a panic mode. It's not a hello,
Yeah.
it's a uh-oh.
All right, finish with
Yeah, why
the
is
tough
this
one.
happening?
Yeah, okay.
The
So
the
you're about to go on
divisive one.
stage. You're comfortable, you're happy, you're warm, you're in the best state you can possibly be, and you've got full stomachs. You've got to put on ice cold, wet underwear or wet socks. What do you put on and why?
Underwear.
I do.
Well, I loved you guys for so long.
I think you would get like a rush from that, but you're not supposed to ever have wet socks on ever. I mean, I don't know why, but they tell you that in the army that you're supposed to change your socks all like every day.
Yeah,
And I learned that working on film way like early in my career. I watched a girl every day at lunch. She would take her shoes and socks off and like put her feet in the grass, and then she'd change socks after lunch and go back to work. And I was like, why do you do that? She's like, my first GP told me, he's like, you change your socks at lunch and it makes you, change person throughout the day. It really does do something for you, especially if you're working like 12-hour days,
Yeah.
that noon blast of air on your feet and just like, reground yourself and get back to work. It works.
Well, that's what I'm taking away from this. Change your socks more often, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, once a day, and eat a fucking stop and eat lunch, for God's sakes. Why are you in such a rush?
Yeah, dickheads.
It'll
Dude,
be
better.
there.
Well, boys, thank you so much for hanging out. We truly appreciate
thanks
you
for
taking
having
the
us.
time. We're looking forward to seeing you very, very shortly. So
Yeah, definitely can.
Yeah, let's-
Fucking catch you boys.
Which city will y'all be in?
we'll be in Sydney.
We'll be in Sydney.
So
All right,
plenty of good
sick.
adventure spots to take you to.
Yeah,
Awesome.
let's hang. Thanks
Yeah,
for
sure.
having us on.
A
Our
pleasure.
pleasure, dudes. Peace.
All right, boys.
Take care.
Yeah, cheers.